Good morning. Hello, it's so great to see you. Welcome to beautiful Miami. When they asked me to host this, I was thrilled. Thrilled. My favorite part of my job is speaking to each of you. And I get to host our very first customer panel that's live. Topic: what to discuss. What would be great and important for each of you. So I went back. Every conversation I've had with every one of you, common theme. How do I make the switch? How do I make the switch? It's not the switch to enable. How do I make the transformation switch? How do I make the org change switch? The change management. What is the blueprint? How do I change not only my company, my trading partners, and everybody within my ecosystem? Andrew talks about the demand chain. There's a lot involved in that. So I asked some of my good friends, some great executives from some very key companies and industries, how they did it and how to share with each of you. So please join me in welcoming a few of them, and we'll have a nice Q&A up here. So, very first, Shayna, Wan, please join me from UAG. Come on up. Hello. Right here. Shayna, nice to see you. Thank you for coming all the way from Las Vegas. Can you tell me just a little bit? I know you started in the hospitality. Tell me a little bit about your background, how you started a procurement department. Heaven help you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jerry. So, my name is Shayna Wan. I actually have 13 years of management and operations experience, and I started with United Aqua Group, which is a premier buying group in the swimming pool industry, without any swimming pool knowledge. But being part of that leisure industry, it was really able to help me jump in and help our company grow. So I have been on a task force to help oversee all of our changes and our growth within the company. Happy to be here.
Thank you, Shayna. Thank you very much, Shayna. Okay, my next guest, 20 years of experience in the electrical industry. My second favorite Canadian after my wife. Jeffrey Moyle, please join me on stage. Jeffrey, how are you? Thank you for making the trip from Toronto.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit more about your background.
So I consider myself a reformed accountant, first and foremost.
So, heaven help you.
Yes. No, my background's in the electrical industry, in medium and high voltage predominantly. So how I ended up in rebates, just like Jade described, I'm from outside, now inside. So I was tasked about 3 years ago to take on the supplier strategy for our company and in North America. So I inherited Enable along the way and our relationship too. So I'm glad to be here. And also a quick shout out to Saskatoon, Jay. I do appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Very cool. Thank you. Okay. All right. Representing buying groups. I had a great time making mojitos with this next guest last night. She should have won, by the way. She was one of the very best. Carrie Atlas, please join me on stage. How are you?
Hi, Jerry. How are you?
Thank you for coming all the way down from New York, right?
Yes, Buffalo.
Right.
It's a little warmer here than it is in Buffalo, even now.
Great. Can you tell me just a little bit about your background and how you got started?
Sure. I'm the vice president of NetPlus Alliance. It's an industrial distribution buying group. I actually came from the grocery industry, and in the grocery industry we also deal with promotions and rebates. So I was familiar with that when I came on board with NetPlus. It's funny, in finance, it's a little bit of a shift from industry to industry. It's not as difficult as maybe a sales position. You think about calculating the gross margin of a bandsaw is very similar to calculating the gross margin of a rotisserie chicken. So it was an easy switch for me, and I love NetPlus Alliance. We do great things. We have our distributors and our suppliers top of mind, and Enable has helped us get there.
All right, thank you very much, Carrie.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to hearing how you made the switch. My last special guest, John. Janice, would you please come up and join me, please? Come on up. You're at the very end over here.
Oh, getting further.
Okay. First and foremost, thank you for your 13 years of service to the U.S. Army. We really appreciate it. Can you tell me a little bit more, because you had a lot of org change management. Can you tell me a little bit more about your journey?
So I've been with Chadwell Supply a little over a couple years now. 25 years experience in the multifamily apartment distribution supply chain management. So that's my supply chain management background.
Great, thank you very much. Okay. Just as we reviewed 2 weeks ago, I'm sure it seemed like a long time. I have a couple questions. I'm going to direct them at a couple of you, but I welcome feedback from all of you to get started, okay? Remember, making the switch. I want to make sure everyone understands why you did it, how you did it, because it's hard, super hard what you do. Let's just start with basics. I want the foundation, and not the foundation of Enable. That's the output. That's the end result. I want to talk about rebates and back, how it gets started. So Shayna, maybe let's start with you. Official question. Let's start with the foundation. How did your rebate business evolve?
Sure. So in the swimming pool industry, rebates have always been around. They're very, very common in our industry. What we decided to do with rebates is very, very different than what everyone else is doing in our industry, though. So we are a buying group, premier buying group in the swimming pool industry. Our owners are not just members, they are actually owners. So we negotiate rebates with our vendors, and then about, 2013, we changed our model from just taking rebates and giving them back to our members in the form of cash. We actually formed UAG Holdings, which is a stock. So when our vendors send that check or credit memo, we reallocate those funds in the form of UAG stock, and that's how our owners' long-term wealth investment actually grows. So we changed our model with rebates going back to cash. We have a full-time money manager, our president of UAG Holdings. All he does is make sure that that stock grows. Over the last 6 years, we've seen double-digit growth, and it has completely changed the way that our owners are making their purchases. They're looking for vendors that are giving the highest incentives, those highest rebates, so that when we are getting those payouts, they, just by buying through the group, they can become millionaires. They can afford to pay for their children's college tuition. They're able to add on to their branches. We've completely changed their livelihoods. So it has developed in quite an interesting way.
It's amazing. It's amazing how you use rebates, really. Millionaires, really.
Absolutely, and if you think about the swimming pool industry, a lot of our members, our owners, some might be small mom and pop shops. They might be multi-generational companies. So to be able to walk away a millionaire, it's completely changed livelihoods.
And they're in Las Vegas.
Actually, our owners are throughout the United States.
Oh.
So we have 325 owners throughout the United States. We do business with about 260 suppliers.
Very cool, thank you.
Our office is in Vegas, yes.
Maybe down there, John, I'd love to hear about how your business started, where rebates was, what part of it, how doing, and then how you grew.
So when I started with Chadwell a couple of years ago, our current rebate tracking system was a marketing manager spreadsheet, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. I think Andrew had mentioned it before. And I saw that it was tracked, but not tracked efficiently and effectively. The category managers in our department didn't have visibility to where we are hitting rebate targets, or if we had an opportunity to reach another tier level of a rebate. So I quickly discovered that I wanted to get the rebate tracking under my direction, under the purchasing department, and then category managers would be able to have an upper hand in negotiating when they have suppliers come in. It gave them an upper hand, knowing that what target, where we are in the rebate spend, and then where we're going to hit our target levels.
John, how do you define upper hand? When you talk about that, we had a lively debate last night between manufacturers and distributors. By lively debate, there was almost a fight that I broke up.
Can you hear? Yeah, I'm having
There's a
trouble
bit of an
hearing
echo.
you. I'm having trouble hearing you.
When you talk about upper hand, let me come over to you. When you talk about upper hand, what did you mean by that? Was it your contract, your incentive, your terms? How did you define upper hand in your negotiation?
Upper hand?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, part of it was, prior to that, the supplier would come in. Category managers didn't have a clue on what the spend amount was. And so supplier could throw out a number, and the category manager, may not have realized, there was some opportunity there, or that we were perhaps due some more money than what the category manager had thought.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so when you make the switch, why are you doing it? Why are you going through all these challenges, internally and externally, right? What are you doing to manage your rebates? So let's first hear from Carrie. Official question here, it's like Jeopardy, step in reverse. What were the main challenges you faced with managing your rebates, and why would you even begin to think about making the switch?
Sure. As a buying group, rebates are our business for the most part. We don't manage rebates, we manage relationships. And for us, like any finance nerd, I love a good spreadsheet. But we were managing tens of thousands of relationships because we sit between the B2B. So it wasn't just a one-to-many, it was a many-to-many relationship. And when you look at that spreadsheet, not only is it daunting, it's nerve-wracking, and it's audited. You have to audit a spreadsheet more than you have to create the spreadsheet. So that gets really scary, right? Understanding that what we needed to do was to put in some automation. As a buying group, we do our best to give back all of the rebate that's been earned by our distributors to our distributors. Of course, we have overhead, right? But to keep that small, we keep our team really lean and mean. We only have 13 people on our team, and only 4 of us reside in the finance and IT department. So we needed to put in some efficiencies and get some automation, and that has really driven our business significantly. I came on board with NetPlus in 2015. Since 2015, we've doubled our business. So, and we're projecting to do the same thing. We have a BHAG. I don't know if you guys know, BHAG is a big, hairy, audacious goal of doubling our business again in the next 3 years, and there's no way we could have done it, without something like Enable. So that's where we are.
Thanks, Carrie, for that.
BHAG,
BHAG.
Can you define?
Big, hairy, audacious goal. It's something that's supposed to scare the bejesus out of you, but you're going to hit it.
BHAG, I like that.
Jeffrey, you actually have digital under you. You're responsible for the entire company for this. So you have to take rebates and make them digital. So can you tell me a little bit about your experience with managing rebates?
Yeah, no, I'm getting a little PTSD when you bring it up that way. So thank you. You know what? I remember my first day very, very vividly. I had to go to the warehouse. I had to bring down a few crates off the shelf, and I laid out all our rebates on the floor. I quickly unplugged our fax machine because that's how we're prosecuting a lot of these rebates. I kid you not. So you may be wondering, that seems kind of anarchistic a little, but the reality was, Nedco is a distribution company owned in Canada. It was 106 years old.
Yeah.
Westburn, 78 years old. My predecessor had been in the role for 45 years. All right, so he told me, hey, we're going with Enable, and I immediately thought that's not the solution for us. Not to scare you, Jerry, but no, I'm an only child, so I thought to myself, I could do this better. I quickly found out I couldn't, but I got to the point where I laid out all our rebates on the floor, and I thought to myself, like, what have I agreed to? So I had to go through every single rebate. I contacted U of T. I brought in some data scientists. We produced a language where we could figure out exactly what we're negotiating for, and I think you made that point. Like, when we start negotiating, ask for the thing that actually helps, not just to talk. So we got to that point all the way through, and then it came down to, okay, now that we've unplugged the fax machines, now that we've sort of done all these other things over here, how are we going to do this? And we did have a spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet is gross. It is the UN flag of all sorts of colors and ideally everything you can imagine. And if God help the person who says it wrong also. So to that point though, as we go forward, we've done quite well. And I mean, our results are published quarterly, and Rexel Canada and broadly more North America has accelerated through the pandemic. And had we not had Enable during this process, we would have struggled, truthfully. Particularly the rebate represents a big piece of our revenue that goes back to Paris. And had that not been there, had that not had the language and being able to codify to our sales folk and our product managers what to negotiate, I would not be here right now. I'd be looking for another job. Maybe at Dunkin' Donuts, who knows, but that's probably where I'd be. Hopefully that answers your question, though, but I will say that I was not sold. But then as I quickly found out, no, it's a good product. It helps us visualize a lot of our data sets and allow people to make intelligent decisions. Something I could not do before because I was operating from a black box. Yeah. And no one knew what was in the black box, not even me. So, so hopefully that answers your question, but no, I would consider myself converted in this case. So.
Jeffrey, let's go back to, you brought down a bunch of crates and read each agreement by one. Well, how long were you in that dark room for?
Oh my God. I should do a podcast about that time of my life, but I won't. It took quite a while. It took me about 3 months to read every single one. And keep in mind, I read from 2000 on to see the evolution of everything. Right, you got to get into the history to see what the future looks like, and I certainly did that. I contacted U of T. We brought a bunch of data guys in there for a co-op project, and we worked the problem all the way through. You guys fit very nicely to solve that problem. Right now, the time I spent thinking about rebates is shockingly low. So I work on all the other parts of our business that gives me that anxiety I described earlier. So,
well, thank you. Thank you. Look, that leads into our next question. Everyone's had the moment. Holy cow, Jeffrey had it when he unloaded all the crates, and you're reading your agreements. How much money am I missing? Oh. How much money should I be making? How do I make the switch? What is the blueprint? So let's hear about that moment. Let's hear a little bit more about it. Carrie, can you share with me your moment? Why you did it, and then what you suddenly did to address that moment?
Yeah, my aha moment was a self-inflicted wound. We all know that timely reporting is so much more, you're able to get in front of downward trends, you're able to, capitalize on upward trends. So we originally had our suppliers reporting on a quarterly basis, and I had a brilliant idea. Let's ask them to go monthly. Great, now I have 3 times the work. And now I'm still in a spreadsheet. So beyond that, we ran into coronavirus, right? So now all of our suppliers have different challenges. We've got staffing issues. You've got logistic nightmares everywhere. You're running out of raw material. A lot of our suppliers and our distributors were stratifying and diversifying their inventories. Some product had completely stalled, and other products like PPE was going through the roof. Different margins on all of those. And I felt like we needed to be at a place where we could meet with our suppliers and come to them and find out how do they need to go to business, instead of dictating, beyond our limitations, right, beyond our spreadsheet, and give them options and give them different, the ability to craft a deal that not only works for our distributors, but works for them. So that was my aha moment when I knew I had to take it out of a spreadsheet and I had to do something better than a pivot table or a macro, right, running a macro. So yeah, that was the push. So coronavirus kind of pushed us into that.
Did you follow Andrew's path of Googling a solution, or how did you
absolutely did. I absolutely did. So, and here we are.
We got to increase our Google spend. Where's Sean?
I think for me, my aha moment there was similar to what Carrie says. In 2020, I came on Chadwell Supply. The year of the pandemic had began. Our product shifted from other categories into the PPE. Manufacturing was down, hard to get supplies. But not only that, but December 27th, my marketing manager comes and says, hey, we need to spend some money to hit this rebate tier. Just December 27th, I got half the staff out on vacation. It's not going to make it this year. So that was my aha moment. I need to take over for that and get a rebate tracking.
And how did you find the solution? With Google?
Actually, we're a member of affiliated distributors, so
AD.
Through AD. Yeah.
Did AD recommend us? I hope so.
Yeah. Anybody from AD here?
Mm-hmm. AD team.
AD over
Thank
here,
you.
right.
I owe you a beer.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Beers, mojitos on me.
Yeah, so affiliated distributor, we learned through, about Enable through affiliated distributor. Yep.
And Shana, I'd love to hear about your moment, right? Because you came from a different industry. You were in hospitality, and it was brand new, and you had to create a department. So how did that, you didn't inherit the crate boxes in the black room.
I did not. So for us, we changed our model. In order to set ourselves up for growth, to become $1 billion company, we could not continue to do business the way that we were doing it in the past. So we did an internal review and we said, okay, instead of just having a procurement team, bringing on new vendors, new partners, we need to be more strategic about it. So in order to build these vendor partnerships, to negotiate better programs, to bring more value back to our owners, more profitability back to our owners, we need to strengthen relationships. So there was a big focus around that. And it's a very different conversation. So as part of a buying group, we didn't have that background of spending a lot of time with our vendors, building those relationships, maintaining them, and our strategic vendor partnership team, that's exactly what we do. So when we're looking at rebate management or finding a better solution, we needed to carve out time. So for us, we support our vendors virtually. We have 2 different websites that my team manages. So we need to have time to have those conversations, build the relationships, get the data to display across the 2 websites. We have an Amazon purchasing experience. I'm hearing Amazon a lot today, but we provide that for our owners. We also have various websites specifically for our owners. So when I was looking for something, it was really about how do we carve out the time to spend with our vendors to make those relationships happen and to negotiate better programs. So Enable was that solution, and it actually gave us more value than what we were planning on. With Enable, we're able to slice and dice information in a completely different way. We found areas of underpayment or no payments from vendors, so it's really changed things for us.
Underpayment from vendors. That's money you would negotiate and earn, but you did not collect.
And we weren't aware. The terrifying thing is we didn't know.
Okay. We haven't heard that at all before here. That's awesome. Okay, thank you, Shana. We appreciate it. When you make the switch, you then have to decide not just on the solution, but you have to decide, how do I get my internal team? Many cross teams, right? There's finances, procurement, there's revenue teams, commercial teams. How do I get all these teams? And then even harder, how do I get outside these walls and get my trading partners? It takes 2 to have a trading agreement. How do we do this? What do you look for in a solution? How does it impact your day-to-day? Jeffrey, let's hear about this. I'd love to understand your background here.
Yeah, once I got rid of the fax number, that compelled some people to come on board, truthfully. But for us, though, we operated this ERP that was a black box. So we had all this information inside of, and I hate to say it, the old blue screens that you tab through, and there's a few in you in here I know that have those, or had those at one point. So we had all this information in this black box. So for us to get that adoption across the board internally was quite easy. We came forward and said, listen, I'm going to run an open book on this. I'm going to tell everyone exactly what is happening across the board. I'm going to produce some very nice infographics, because some people learn differently through images and shapes or numbers. So I gave all that information out, and I run our business as an open book now, something that was not possible in my predecessors' years, after I went through all the paper and all the crates and things like that. But to bring adoption across that, I then further broadened it out with the CFO and I running our accrual process, our accounting processes after the fact. And I like your point about rebate collection. That is a big one for us also. People who are not paying on time is a big part of our business. But to get back to the adoption across the company, it was a breath of fresh air, truthfully. They were used to the 106-year-old company operating off a fax machine. What it simultaneously did is it brought a lot of our partners up to a certain level also. We're saying, we're moving in this direction, we're going online, we're digitizing these workflows, and no longer are we accepting those fax machines. As someone who's planted trees in Northern Ontario in university, I can't kill this paper anymore. I just can't do it from an ESG standpoint. So bringing that adoption across the board. So what I found actually is getting 100 emails a day on rebate-related issues is now down to 0. So, and I see that now because everyone understands exactly what is happening. There's no black magic. It's actually quite simple, and Enable's allowed us to do that. So where I thought I was better than Enable, I've been proven wrong, and has been a big part of my life balance personally. So thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, it's definitely me personally.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Sorry, he's the helicopter pilot over here. Yeah.
I want to go back to a certain point in your answer here, because I know when I speak to everyone, they talk about this. You have to get a lot of different departments, and you said it was easy. It was easy to get finance, procurement, buyers, sell. It was easy, because I've never heard that. It was easy internally.
Politics is an interesting topic for me. It's like trading African blood diamonds as I move through countries, truthfully. But no, at the end of the day, everyone benefited from this. It was a mutual win for everyone, where I had that black box that no one understood. Now I had an open architecture that everyone participated in. And as a result of the way COVID unfolded and these spreadsheets that existed, everyone was part of the win, not just little Jeff Moyle over here. It was a group event. That's how that happened.
Okay, very cool. Shayna, let's talk about, you've decided to make the switch. Now you have to decide, how do I evaluate a solution? How do I Google and find one? Thank you, Enable. How does that impact me? How do I get all these teams? It's smaller for you because you now have members. How did that come about for you?
It was actually very difficult. My story is nowhere near yours.
That's all right. The book will be great, don't worry.
So we are member owned, so very similar to Carrie when she's talking about managing relationships. We have 325 owners to hear from, and everyone thinks that how they're running their operation is the best way. So at UAG, within our departments, there was always a constant struggle of, well, who's going to calculate these rebates? Is it accounting? Should it be sales? Goodness gracious. Like, is it procurement? Is it vendor relations? Like, who's actually going to do this? And it would bounce around between different departments over the years, but we always knew that what we were currently doing was not the best way. So there was a lot of discussions, and we stumbled across Enable. Stumbled.
Jeez.
We stumbled.
John, we got to do more marketing, brand management.
Yeah, you got to get on Yahoo. That's what you have to do.
And we actually, when they walk us through that initial presentation, it was like, yes, this is what we need. It really opened our eyes into something that we didn't know we could do before. We are still in implementation phases, so after getting all of that transactional data flowing and then looking at the numbers, it was finally like, okay, we're here. This is why we went with Enable. This is why we needed a better solution. And to be able to have those conversations with our president and then have it trickle down, it's really made our business more efficient.
How did you stumble across Enable?
Actually, our vice president, Scott Ferguson, he was the one that had stumbled and held our hands along the way and said, hey, let's check this out.
Okay. I gotta buy Scott a mojito. I don't know where he is. John.
For me, and similar experiences what they have mentioned, but for the implementation process, I involve I have a few category managers here with me today, but I involved them in the implementation process early on and got their feedback and input on what they want out of this program. They're the ones that are going to be running the program. They're the ones that are going to be negotiating the agreements with suppliers. So I brought them in early in the implementation to get their buy-in. So it's their program, and they know it's their program. So.
What about outside your company? All these trading agreements with partners you need. How did you introduce it?
I'm still struggling with that too. I mean, we're in implementation, so it's still kind of struggling with get the buy-in outside of outside the business. So we're working on it with the help of your team. Your team is good at it.
Good. Thank you, team. All right. Let's go to Carrie. Carrie, here's the next question. Okay. I know you talked about the old process and the new one, how you do it. When you talk about improvement and other areas of your business and how you do that, maybe you can share a little bit about us. Rebates.
Yep, so the benefits from Enable can be seen, cross-departmentally for us. Notably, in the accounting department, I have a finance director who's brilliant. and it is not a good use of her time to be doing math in a spreadsheet. So now she's more strategic, she's improved processes, we've kind of reallocated that time. So it's not really a labor savings, it's a reallocation of labor in a much smarter way. If I told you what our AR at the end of the year was, you guys would probably think I was lying. That's how efficient she's gotten with some of her processes because she has the time to spend on that. So that in and of itself was probably, worth the pains of the implementation. I know implementation is like a really scary and dirty word, but it was worth it. And then from a development perspective, like we talked about relationships, nowadays, people tend to think that business is transactional. They're looking for the lowest price. They're looking for the quickest delivery. That's not always true, right? When I talked earlier about our development team going to our suppliers and asking them, how do they want to go to business? What are their challenges? What's the strategy that we want to help them follow? That has been a huge change with Enable because now we're able to expand the depth and the breadth of what we're able to offer them. So from a development perspective and from an accounting perspective, it's been a real win for us.
Jeffrey, you talk about how everyone jumped in because they could see the benefit. Can you just share a little bit about the other departments in terms of, is it hours, is it revenue, what were the benefits they saw and how did you measure it?
Yeah, no doubt. That's a good question, actually. Lots of benefits. Obviously, getting out of that black box, as I described, is one, but it was sort of the opportunity cost of dealing with the previous architecture. All right, it freed up so much time for people to actually talk about actual numbers versus folklore that existed in that box. When you start dealing in situations where you think I want and these sort of very emotional feelings versus reality, that spent a lot of time. So we've been so successful with Enable all the way through. We've been able to pick up M&A activity through COVID. We've been buying companies, bring them in our architecture along the way through. And I don't think that would have been possible had we been running the legacy format, simply because it consumes so much time. And you have one brilliant finance person. We have a few. We're a big company, and it's a shame that like a CPA sits there and has to grind out Southwire rebates all single day. It's just an absolute waste of time all the way through. So some of the benefits are absolutely that, and being able to get everyone on board where everything is very clean, crystallized, and there's no room for alternative interpretation of the facts, which are just numbers, truthfully. So that's how I was able to pull it off. But after 45 years of the black box, I think the organization was pretty open to the suggestion of Enable. And Andrew did a great presentation very early on too, so I got to give credit to him in the early days there. But we ran that integration through COVID, through some tough times. And it actually worked out all the way through. A couple hiccups, but just to be expected. But no, everyone knows exactly what's happening today. And it's a group event. We manage as a group event all the way through finance, out to the general managers and the presidents of our operating companies. So hopefully that answers your question, Greg.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I add to that real quickly? So I want to talk about utilizing those people to be thinkers instead of doers. It honestly creates better job satisfaction, right? So you lessen your turnover, right? You're not doing those rote tasks. So for me, I think it's employee retention, and it's funny that I can talk about that when I'm talking about a rebate calculator, if you will.
I know, I like reconciliation personally. It's very calming.
Reconciliation. It's a dream. Yeah, I'm gonna go home and do that tonight.
That's just me, Jerry. Sorry. Yeah.
I think we've, in going through the implementation process, we've actually found some additional revenue that we wasn't even aware that we were getting through some suppliers that we wasn't tracking anything with and wasn't getting paid. So we were able to recoup some or recover some revenue for the business. Yeah.
Pays for itself.
For us,
It's for itself.
I just want to jump in. So for us, when we talk about our vendors and our owners, so when we're negotiating programs, having better relationships with our vendors, it's about transparency, communication, and trust. And Enable is able to share the numbers. Our vendors, they create collaborator accounts. Garrett Estrada, who's right up here, hello Garrett, he actually walks all of our vendors through the Enable platform, explaining to them why we have invested in Enable, because we just want to be easy to do business with. So our vendors are able to create these collaborator accounts, log into the Enable system, upload their own transactional data, see where our owners are kind of at with that revenue, and it's really helped us strengthen our relationships with our vendors. A lot of the vendors see the vision, they're willing to step up and join this ride that UAG is on. For our owners, we have built a dashboard. Our owners will be able to see where they are in the rebate tiers, if they're close to missing a tier, and how much money or units they have to purchase to reach that next level. This visibility is not something that we've ever had as an organization. So it's fantastic that Enable is helping us provide that increasing relationships with our vendors, but also that visibility with our owners so we can all buy better.
Yeah, so that's a positive impact of your trading relationship. It's the visibility. Is there anything else that's been very positive that you've noticed besides just the visibility?
I think my colleagues have said it.
Yeah.
Increased efficiency. We have saved time. It's really helped us set ourselves up for growth.
Growth. Rebates and strategy, very cool. How about you, Jeffrey? Your partners, the influence, I'm talking external now. You got everyone at a 108-year-old company to jump in. That's great. How about your external partners?
Well, you know what? Looking up on the board here, you had Schneider come up there, so that's an external partner. So I've been able to evangelize going forward. So a lot of people see the value of that all the way through. And what I've discovered is it also sort of raised the bar of who I'm dealing with along the way. Where someone who was giving me a hard time about faxing in data last year, it's probably in my mind, like, this is probably not the partner I really need going forward, right? As I'm leading the digital transformation of my company. So that was kind of like a culling event in and itself. But no, it's been received very well. There's a few sort of people hanging on to the old, call it in, whatever they want to do, but it's been able for us to comb through who we should and should not be dealing with. And quite frankly, if you're having a hard time uploading a spreadsheet, like that really calls into question your overall business in relation to us. But no, it's been very, it's been a good process. Also on top of that, like, our suppliers can then cross-check what they're providing us, which allows us a degree of accuracy all the way through, which previously was not happening. I can tell you quite confidently, we've had years where we missed the number by 7 figures, and that was some interesting conversations, I am told. So no, it's been well received across the board, and I think it'll be a part of what we do going forward. And on top of that, the color scheme being green means go, so I do like that too. So, and they recognize that too, because we're going forward, and bye-bye fax machine.
Green means go. We're going to take that.
Green
Watch, next
go.
year at Catalyze, green means go.
Jerry, I have so many ideas. We'll talk later.
We'll talk later.
I've got great ideas for you.
Carrie, can you share some positive influences from your trading partners?
Well, absolutely. I've said it before. We're meeting them where they are, right? I mean, if they're having a staffing issue, then we can talk about different ways to report those sales. If they're having, that product line diversification, then we can do product line deals. We can separate their inventory and do it by, if they're doing a promotion, or if they are expanding into another area of the country. It's a really great, comfortable feeling knowing that we can accommodate their needs. And that is better business for us, it's better business for them. It brings more to the table for our distributors. I mean, we're leaving nothing on the table at that point. So it's a win.
Very, very cool, thank you. Okay.
I do want to know where you got your socks.
The socks? I might be able to get you a pair of these.
Okay,
Someone wants some socks. I might be able to, would you wear them?
Well, not with these shoes, but yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do a last question for a couple of you, and then I'm just going to come to both of you for for some closing comments. John, maybe we'll start with you, just so you can hear me. If you had to give one piece of advice, making the switch, for everyone here, making the switch, one piece of advice, what would it be?
Do it. Just like one piece of advice. No, the implement, and again, me and Shayna's kind of going through the implementation process with Enable, and I can tell you Enable makes the implementation process smooth. We have weekly meetings. We can take our concerns to them, and they are quick to respond with the concerns of what our needs are. The engineering, they open tickets up with engineering. Engineering gets what we need done, and then even following about past implementation, they continue to train, and we have a customer service success manager that holds weekly meetings with us and reviews how we're doing with Enable and how Enable is working through for us. So it's been one of the smoothest implementations that I've been through in 25 years of experience, and been through plenty of implementations, but Enables it has been a smooth experience for us.
Thanks. Thanks, John. Okay, just closing comments, piece of advice for making the switch. Shana, let's start with you and we'll go that way.
All right, absolutely. So, closing comments. With this implementation phase that we're going through, Enable has held our hand along the way. We have regular meetings. It feels like everyone on the implementation team and the success team is willing to understand our business. And in the swimming pool industry, we have a very difficult and complex business model. We're doing everything on a pool year as well as a calendar year and then our UAG fiscal year. So there's a lot that's involved. Everyone thinks that they're being really, really creative and coming up with the best new solution. So a lot of the rebate deals are very complex. And if you think that your rebates with the different tiers and the different levels and are too complex, I will tell you, there are wonderful, smart people at Enable. Matt is legendary, Corey Mans, we love him, but they take the time to understand our business model and the complexity, and there has been a solution every single time. We haven't ever had someone come back and say, no, we're not able to figure this out. It's always yes, and.
You know, smart, capable people at Enable, and you didn't mention me. I'm a little hurt. I'm a little hurt by that. Jeffrey, one piece of advice and just some closing comments for you.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And for me, you know what? I made the comment earlier that I thought I was smarter than Enable initially, and you know what? My piece of advice is just let it go. Let go all the things that went wrong in other integrations you've had. Let go of the fact that certain pieces of technology do not work because you do not understand them. Just let all that go. You have a good group. The execution was good all the way through. I know you and I had a lot of conversations in heart to heart. You guys were honest all the way through. So just let go of the past and go into the future. And also get rid of your fax machine. So there you go.
Get rid of fax machine. I'm going to give you a fax machine when I come visit.
Don't do that.
Carrie, one piece of advice and just some closing comments?
Yeah, look past your fears, right? Implementation is always hard, but once you get beyond that, it's like a crock pot, right? I'm a working mom. You set it and you forget it. So for me, it's really fantastic. But since we name dropped, I got a name drop for Corey. Thank you, Corey. He was on my implementation team. Matt is in here in the room, and Tom. So they were all on my, and when I saw them today, they were like my family. I mean, I know about Tom's dogs. I know about Corey's haircuts during the pandemic. I know about, you know, Matt and his kids. So, you know, it's a family, and they are brilliant. They are nimble, and they are brilliant, and their product development team is also phenomenal. So I've had a really good experience, if you can't tell. And I'm going to get socks.
So, those keeping score, that's 3 out of 4 people that haven't mentioned me at all. Don't worry about it. John, save me here. Closing comments,
You
John?
started with me, and then you went back down there, and now you're
Closing comments for everybody?
the what?
The wine and the mojito.
No, I you know, just to add to it, the implementation was smooth. We're just past the implementation phase of it now, so hoping to realize your successes this year. So yeah, I say do it. Get rid of the fax machine. Get rid of your spreadsheets. Go to Enable. Yeah.
All right, for all of you thinking about the blueprint for making the switch. There's a lot that goes into it. Please join me in thanking all our great customers.